everyone, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 46 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in Lucha Underground history with match number 5 on our list, which is the Ciero Miedo match between Vampiro and Pentagon Jr. from the August 5th, 2015 edition of Lucha Underground, which was Ultima Lucha Part 2. The word iconic gets used a lot in wrestling. It's an overused term. But when it comes to Lucha Underground, this really was the most iconic match that Lucha Underground ever did. It is the match that put Pentagon Jr. On the map, catapulted him into, arguably being the biggest star to come out of Lucha Underground, made him the face of the company, led to him exploding on the independents, eventually getting to where he is in AEW. Currently he's one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions at the time this video was recorded. And this match has everything to do with it. I've talked a lot about how I watched Lucha Underground spoiler-free. I was excited for this match because of how they built it. They did a great job building this up. Vampiro was the commentator, would kind of talk about, his dark past that he was trying to forget. And he was slowly pulled back into that by Pentagon. It started with some, kind of verbal spats, and then it became physical. And all the while, Pentagon Jr. Was breaking the arms of, all of this lower card talent, was talking about, how he had this master that, he was doing all of these sacrifices for, and, how he had devoted himself to this master. And you didn't know who the master was. So they led, he had this beef with Vampiro. It eventually became physical. Vampiro, left the announcer's table to fight Pentagon, and it led to an angle, leading into Ultima Lucha, where Pentagon teased lighting Vampiro on fire, which was crazy and, obviously didn't happen. And that led to the Ciero Miedo match. So, Lucha Underground had established that they do blood and they do violence, but we had gotten nothing to this level. And like I said, because I watched Lucha Underground spoiler-free, while I was excited for the match, I really didn't know what to expect. Vampiro hadn't wrestled in a while. I'd seen, some Vampiro matches here and there, from the 2010s onward. His longevity of his career, had taken a physical toll on him. He certainly wasn't, the Vampiro of the 90s. He had done this stuff in WSX, and they'd kind of done a little bit of ultra-violent stuff that was also kind of censored. But this was really the first, it depends how you want to classify a death match, but if you classify a death match that, you have to have multiple hardcore elements past the point of your typical, tables, ladders, and chairs. You have to have barbed wire, or thumbtacks, or glass, or fire, or what have you, right? That's what makes a death match. And even though, Lucha Underground had billed matches as death matches, primarily the one between Phoenix and Mil Muertes at this point in the series, we hadn't seen anything that was, a true to form death match. And that's ultimately what the Ciero Miedo match became. As a deathmatch wrestling fan, to see, that style of wrestling get that platform and that exposure on, television, free television like it was mind-blowing, and it was so exciting for me as a fan. And a lot of talk this year about Chris Jericho's match with Nick Gage on AEW Dynamite, and how they used light tubes and glass, and, this match, walked so that match could run, I guess we'll say, right? This really set the template to show that this style could be done on TV, and it can be done well. This match is outside of those spots, which we'll get to, it's a really fun, chaotic, heated brawl. It's maybe not, excellent because, Vampiro was limited, but he worked his ass off in this match. Pentagon was the perfect foil. The crowd was red hot. So this match really is good, and it has all of those moments that just set it over the edge. I loved it in 2015. I was so excited when this match happened. I couldn't wait, for the episode to end so I could go online and talk to people about it on Twitter. But, watching it back 6 years later, and really kind of seeing how it set that template, especially I watched this after, that Jericho Engage match happened, right? What, when I was doing this list, I got to that match, after the Trials of Jericho or whatever they called that series. And I really saw the influence that this had in it, and it made me appreciate it even more. This match is excellent. It is a Lucha Underground hallmark, and like I said, it really is, that iconic Lucha Underground match that I think a lot of people think of when they think of the series. The match itself, like I said, it's so much fun. Vampiro comes out, he's wearing like this crazy Pope getup. Vampiro attacks him, jumps him, hits multiple chair shots, gives him, a fireman's carry slam on the exposed concrete, and just unloads with chair shots to his arm. Referee Rick Knox, throws up the X, and they kind of do a big, angle with Vampiro getting stretchered out. They go to commercial break, kind of saying, oh, the match is over. When we come back, Vampiro is getting off the stretcher and is beating down all of the paramedics, brings his way back into the ring and brings out thumbtacks with them, and the match just gets crazy. So he slams Pentagon into the thumbtacks. He goes up top and misses like a great looking tumbleweed into the tacks, which, blew me away. I was not expecting anything of that quality from Vampiro here. And it was amazing. He turned the clock back, on his career, a decade plus. You basically put it back, 16 years with this match. We get the light tubes, which again, the crowd is just insane for it. The shock and the awe and the gore, it's all so good. Like any great horror movie, it's all the visuals, and it just works. Penta uses the tubes and carves up Vampiro. He tries to whip him through some tubes set up in the corner, and Vampiro reverses it and hits a hip toss through the light tubes in the corner. And then it's again, visuals, right? So Vampiro, is bleeding from the light tubes, and he tastes his own blood. And that is what sets him over the edge, right? And sets him back into these, deep, dark ways that he never wanted to go back to. And he rips at Pentagon's mask and, starts carving him up with the light tubes. And it's all so good. We get a big, super belly-to-belly suplex off the top into the tacks by Vampiro. He makes the mistake, though. At this point, he's pushed so far over the edge. You think back to the angle, the go-home angle for this match where Vampiro tried to light him on fire, so Pentagon tried to light Vampiro on fire, so Vampiro ends up setting up a flaming table, but, takes all of the time doing that, and it's Pentagon that ends up choke slamming Vampiro through the flaming table. Vampiro is on fire for a while, which is crazy. He's rolling around covered in flames, before they put him out, and that's enough for the 3. And as if that match, the match is very compact, right? Like, it's a good kind of sprint of a crazy death match, and you take, the atmosphere and everything like that, and it makes it an all-time classic. But then you get the post-match angle, which, if you add on to it, and I've talked about this in the countdown before, if I include kind of the pre and post match, into the match package itself. And I do when it directly relates to the match, right? And here it does. So our post matches, Vampiro starts begging that Pentagon breaks his arm, right? All of the arm breaks that he'd been doing to lead up to this match, and that's what, Vampiro originally started taking umbrage with. He wants his arm broken, he's sick, he's demented, he, just got burned alive, and he asks for the arm break, and Penta, does just that, and does a signature arm break on Vampiro. But then we got the amazing post-match where, Pentagon bows down to his master, and we find out that it was Vampiro all along that was pulling all of these strings from the announcer's desk, and his final challenge, to make Pentagon dark as we would see him become, to send him over the edge and send him spiraling into that madness that Vampiro used to have. The final test was setting his master ablaze and breaking his arm and showing that he could do that. And it was just amazing. It was unexpected to me, not reading the spoilers. I didn't see it coming. I knew we would get the reveal of the master. I thought maybe it could have been someone that Vampiro, would cross paths with years ago. I didn't know where they were going to take it. I didn't see it coming. Maybe it was obvious, but it wasn't to me. And it was so cool, and you get the awesome visual of, Broken Arm Vampiro and Pentagon now, brothers in blood through the death match they just did, both doing the Ciero Miedo, and it was this amazing visual in a match filled of them. This match is so good. It is, in my honest opinion, one of the best death matches ever, just for, how it presented, the art form, if you want to call it that. And it gave it so much respect, right? Deathmatch wrestling is looked down upon by so much of the wrestling world because of guys like Jim Cornette and people like that. But Lucha Underground did the complete opposite, and they spotlighted, this style of wrestling that I love, that I understand is not for everybody, but it is for me. And they treated it with respect, and they gave it this great platform. I commend Lucha Underground for doing that. I commend Vampiro for the incredible performance that he put forth. And, I commend Pentagon Jr. for playing his role to perfection, and this match catapulting him into superstardom. This match is excellent. Season 1 Lucha Underground, the cool thing is you can watch this for free on YouTube, and I will link that on my Twitter. If you want to watch any other Lucha Underground, depending on where you live, you might be able to find it on Tubi, but if not, you can find these episodes, just by Googling them. You can find them on various streaming platforms. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50, and please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50. Top 50.